All right. Hello and welcome to episode 78 of the Rhody Rumble podcast. Today I'm joined by former URI forward, originally out of West Hempstead, New York, now national champion with the UConn Huskies as a grad assistant under head coach Dan Hurley, Andre Berry. Andre, thank you so much for coming on for a second time. I know, like we said, it's been a crazy last couple of days, but how are you?
I'm doing well, man. This like the first week where like things are kind of like slowing down after we won. So just back to the drawing board right now with future plans on recruiting and just getting ready for the summer workouts that's ready to start.
Okay, so for you, is the plan to stick with Connecticut? Do you plan on being a member of the staff long term? Is that until you finish out your grad assistant role, or what's the plan?
So I got one more year left for my GA role, and then after that, I'm not sure what the future holds, but I would love to stay here and build here and grow here. It's a prestigious program. A lot of familiar faces in the building, and I think we just all gel well. A lot of different personalities, but we all come to one and like complement each other. So I think it's a great fit, and I would love to stay here. So
Absolutely. And basketball, especially in basketball, you see it, but really in all sports, it's all about connections and who you know. So at a original blue blood like UConn under a coach like Dan Hurley, obviously you have a relationship with him already, but like you said, there's familiar faces walking around the facilities and on campus. It's only going to help you in your career and what you hope to accomplish in the future. I want to backtrack just a little bit. From what I understand, you last played professionally about a year ago overseas in Spain. Can you just talk a little bit about what that experience was like?
um, playing last year in Spain was a great experience. A lot of ups and downs throughout the season because we were still dealing with COVID a little bit last year. So a few games canceled, a few guys on the team got COVID. It was a up and down year, but ultimately my team made the playoffs, and then we lost in the first round in the game two because the way it works overseas, if we lost game one by 3, so all we had to do is win game two by 4, and then we'll
Hmm.
move on. And then, but I got hurt first quarter of the game, and I messed my ankle up, and then it was a bad sprain that like took forever to heal up. So then I missed the rest of the season. Well, that was last game, so I missed that game, and then I came back and I just started just rehabbing, and it was just like a lingering injury, and I didn't like fully heal until like I want to say like October, and like fully healed, and then this opportunity came up towards the end of the summer, and then I had to make a decision.
Sure. My next question is actually about, how you decided to make that decision after last season. Were you ready to retire? You wanted to step away from basketball? And also when you returned to United States, is your heart set on coaching? Is that a part of the plan? Was that always part of the plan? Or how did that interest evolve over time?
Um, it was something that I thought about. I want to say before I even went overseas last year.
Hmm.
I was talking to like a few people here about it, and then I was still up in the air. I was still 1 foot in, 1 foot out because I was still wanting to play basketball. So I was still like, I'm gonna get this basketball thing a go. But then I was like, do I want to do it and then miss out on this opportunity again?
Right.
But then it came down to it was like too much of a late notice here at UConn to want to push me in last year. So I'm like, what, it was a good situation. I'm just go overseas and to see how this year goes and then go from there. And then, it's hard to talk to people during the season. So I didn't hear much throughout the whole season. And then when I got back from overseas, that's when I started to hear more about it. And then started hearing people started reaching out to me about the position. And I was still kind of iffy about it just for the school aspect. I didn't want to go back to school. So then
Yeah.
I was still like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And then you just weigh out all the pros and cons. And
Sure.
then who wouldn't want to be at UConn doing something like this? And under a man who you've played for, who you trust, who has trust in you, I just felt like it was a good situation. And then, but coaching's always been in my background. I feel like I could relate to a lot of kids with my story coming up. JUCO kid, under recruited, didn't play that much, started playing professional career. I feel like I could relate to every kid growing up who wants to aspire to be something. So
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I feel like you're seeing that a lot now where a lot of college athletes are turning to coaches. They kind of want to pay it forward and come full circle.
yeah,
Obviously, I've talked to a lot of your teammates and just former URI players, and a lot of them are, exploring that. I talked to Malik Martin recently, and he was telling me that he's exploring grad assistant roles, and he's not even a year yet removed
Yeah,
from playing. So it's interesting to kind of see everyone's journey and path, but everyone has that ultimate goal, obviously, of either playing or wanting to go on and be a coach. But it just seems like the common understanding is that you want to stay in the game of basketball. You want to stay within that world or that industry. And I mean, when you're already so invested, it's kind of hard to just walk away from it. Like you said, you thought about, kind of keeping one foot in and going back to playing. And I'm sure it was difficult to make that decision, especially with those injuries and COVID, like you alluded to. So I think you made the right decision because, now you're a national champion, but we'll
like
get into some of those questions. But like I can imagine that was definitely a difficult decision for you to make.
yeah, for sure. And like being like a GA is like the first step really to like
Sure.
everybody's career. So like a GA, you get your master's while also being a part of the staff. So even though the school part's not like the enjoyment is still like you still have like a hands-on day-to-day basis like a regular coach. So it's not really that bad when you put in perspective. And it's grad school, so it's not really as gruesome as undergrad.
Yeah, absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about how you got the position. Did you reach out to Coach Hurley? Did he reach out to you? What was that like, that process to, get that opportunity to join his staff and to, be a part of what he's building in stores?
Yeah, so I had last summer I had visited no 2 summers ago I had visited UConn with my friend Hassan Martin, and then we were just walking around campus. It was the day before I had committed to play in Spain last year, so it was in like May June, and then I don't know if you know Ebo, aka Eric Yankowski, who was at URI,
Yeah.
but he was the operations guy here. And then after I left, he had texted me and said, "Yo, can we talk?" And I was like, "Okay, cool." And then he said, "Have you ever thought about like coaching?" And I was like, "Yeah, I thought about it a little bit, but I'm still playing right now, just like brushing it off."
Sure.
And then one of the assistants had called me probably like a week later and was like, "Yo, you ever think about being a GA?" And I was like, "Nah, I ain't really think about it yet. I just signed to go overseas anyway, so I can't really get out of this contract to pursue GA." And then I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, all right. So things were going slow, slow. And then I did my whole season. Then like probably like early May, they called me again. Was like, listen, like we got a GA spot. If you want to come on staff, we'd love to have you. And then it's a great opportunity. And I was just like still concerned. I'm like, a part of me still wants to play, but I feel like this is a good stepping stone because it was more so like they kind of pursued me rather than me reaching out.
Sure.
So it was like, this is a great situation to do. And then getting me into grad school took a long time because like my previous grades at URI weren't really that good. So I had to go through a lot of obstacles to even get into grad school. So I didn't think it was going to happen anyway. And then countless emails sent, countless phone calls, countless meetings,
Yep.
and it finally happened. Like I moved in to UConn the day before school started. I think 2 days before school started.
Okay.
Like it was going on from May to August. It's like August
Hmm.
26th, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was just like this waiting game, waiting game. I'm turning down offers overseas,
Sure.
long waiting game, and then it finally happened. And I packed my car up, got an apartment, and then then that was it.
Rest was history. Yeah, I can imagine that being stressful. Right now, I'm in the job hunt or application process. I'm graduating in May, and it's
Yeah,
how the sports industry works. Whether you're a coach or whether you're trying to go into media, they expect you to start right away. In
yeah,
your situation, it's actually interesting because they held the position almost, or there was another opportunity with the same school a year later, and
yeah,
at that point you want to take that opportunity. But it's hard right now for me, especially because it's April. I don't graduate till I think May 20th, and most people, most teams, leagues are looking to hire right away, and they're not going to hold it for a month or two. So I can understand a little bit of what you're saying, and obviously grad school is something I've thought about if I want to go the SID route. But it's interesting to kind of hear from your perspective.
yeah, for sure. It was a journey, but it all paid off. It's like I'm just blessed with opportunity. I'm blessed that
Mhm.
coaches and the staff wanted me here, and then we just built a relationship, a bond, like a family atmosphere that resulted in a championship. So
Absolutely.
Look at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to it already, but it's pretty remarkable how, how often can you say that your coach in college, now your boss, post college.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about Coach Hurley, what he's meant to you over the years and just everything he's done for you?
I mean, he's meant a lot for me over the years. He's pushed me to be a better player when I was a player for him. He pushed me to be a better man. Take accountability of things. You know what I mean? Always own up to things. Even if you wasn't the reason why something went bad, you always gotta just own up and be a man about it. And then I think that's one thing he taught me the most, just like how to be like a strong man and like just be wired every day to want to be great. Not have nothing hold you back to wanting to be great and just going all in on something you really love. And every day, that's how he was every day. Like he's so ambitious about the team, practice, perfection. And like you just can't I just can't explain it enough how like dialed in he is every single day. And like most people
Right.
really not built like that, but he's dialed in every day. He loves the game. He loves the team. He just loves getting better and just like fighting for the next big thing.
Yeah.
And he's just a great guy. He's a honest guy. You know, we've had tough conversations before. We've had honest conversations before. We've had out back and forth. You know, we've had everything, and then it's like at the end of the day, is all out of respect, all out of love. It's never personal because I've been through it.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I haven't had the chance to meet him yet, but obviously I've heard many stories from you and your teammates, and I've heard a lot about him. Obviously, the entire nation has kind of seen him at some point. Obviously, this past year, if you didn't learn the name Dan Hurley, now you know the name Dan Hurley. So, and even watching him at URI again, my dad went to URI, so I was in high school at the time, but
Yeah,
watching the runs that you guys made, and now obviously seeing what he's doing, what he's building in Connecticut. I mean, it's remarkable. It's his entire life, and I think you put it best. He cares about winning, and he sounds like he's the kind of guy where he just wants to handle business. He doesn't take anything from anyone, and he just kind of wants to get right to business. And I mean, again, it paid off this past year, and I'm just excited as a college basketball fan. I'm just excited to kind of see what's to come and in the future, and continue to watch what he's building. So
yeah, he's building something special here. He's very
yeah,
locked in of like being like one of the greatest coaches ever. So you know, when you have coaches like Jim Calhoun, who was here, he's a legend. Then you have Kevin Ollie, who won one. Then you look across the hall, we got Gino Oriema. So it's like there's just so much inspiration, so much motivation to want you to like be on that level and like be labeled as one of the best college coaches in America or the best program in America. Or yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
yeah.
Just to shift gears a little bit, when you returned to the United States and this opportunity came up with UConn, and then after this question, we'll get into this past March and obviously what the run that Coach Hurley and the UConn Huskies built. But when you came back to the United States and rejoined, I guess, the college basketball ranks, what did you realize that you missed the most just about being around a university, being around college athletes? What did you miss the most about it?
NIL. Nah. I'm joking. I missed the everyday grind because like when you're a professional, you strived all college to get here, but now you're looking at 18, 19, 17-year-old kids who are striving to get to that level. So I think the everyday grind and like the challenges every day that kids face and just like the juggling of like school and then have to go to class, then have to go to practice to get an extra shots up in the morning, team workouts, lift, you know, just like that the team atmosphere I miss the most. Because overseas I was mainly like by myself over there doing my own thing. But here it's like you need every step of the program to be moving for it to excel. So it can't be no hiccups in the road, basically, because if not, the whole ship sinks. So it's like every day the ship has to keep on going. So we need every step of the program to be locked in from guys being on time to guys getting enough sleep, to guys going to class, to guys lifting, to guys practice. It's like every step of the way has to be moving accordingly to make things happen like this.
And I think that's interesting too, because you talk about these students just being, 17, 18, 19 years old, and they rely on the coaches. They rely even on the grad assistants and the assistant coaches, and people in operations. It really takes a team on and off the court to develop some of these athletes. So, your role is so vital to some of these kids. And I think, again, you speak to that in the beginning of the interview, is that's part of the reason why you wanted to get back into coaching. And it's a stepping stone to get you there, is that it'll help you, kind of be that mentor to someone. I'm sure, there's players on this roster right now that, look at you as a mentor, as someone that they can go to about things within, basketball or just life in general. And I'm sure for you too, you had grad assistants and assistants while you were playing at URI. So to kind of, be in their shoes and kind of turn the tables a little bit, it must be kind of nice or rewarding to just pay that forward.
Yeah, for sure. It's just so like crazy because everybody plays like being behind the scenes now. You see how much work actually goes into running a program like this rather than
Sure.
not players. So like you see the operation side, you see how we gotta plan all these road trips months in advance. You see how we gotta plan recruiting visits months in advance, how we gotta have recruiting videos ready, how we gotta clip film, send it out to guys, clip film. Just like you see all this stuff behind the scenes now, and you see how much the players actually like them don't realize how much work is being put in to help them. But I feel like it all pays off though. It's all about, at the end of the day, the main goal is just win. So everything has to be moving at the same time to win, and like nothing goes unnoticed. That's why when we all won, it was like all those late nights, those early mornings, those times when you get that text from a player at 7 a.m. But hey, you want to work out at 7:30? It's all that stuff.
Sure.
It all just pays off at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this team specifically, I mean, in my opinion, I think it's maybe the most dominant team we've seen in college basketball. Just to read off some stats and research I have here, you guys finished 13-7, fourth in the Big East by Marquette, Xavier, and Creighton. Lost to Marquette in the semis of the Big East tournament. And then entered the Big Dance. You beat Iona, St. Mary's, Arkansas, Gonzaga, Miami, and obviously San Diego State. And when I say like you beat them, I mean it was not close. All of those games were at least, I think, 10 plus, um,
I
double
think the margin
digits.
of victory was like 20, right? The margin of victory combined was like 20, I think.
Yeah, you know these games were not nail biters. They were, you pretty much dominated. You breezed through the tournament and you showed the entire country or the entire nation, why UConn deserves to be on top. What made this team so special? Being behind the scenes and spending the season with them.
I think we just put together a great team, a great group of guys who actually liked each other and wanted to win for each other. We have two dominant big men, great guard play, shooting, which is big in college basketball right now. You need shooting. And we had great depth off the bench. We had guards off the bench. We had 1 through 5 off the bench again. So our practices were just as intense as the games with the competitive between the first group and the second group. And then we just had great coaching staff who made sure the guys were prepared for every opponent. They knew all the tendencies. We had great schemes, great game plans, great like attention to detail with everything. And then our main beginning of the season, we had 4 goals. It was to win the PK 85, and we won that. To win the Big East regular season, Big East title, and then make the Final Four. So we missed out on the Big East, both Big East titles, but we won the championship. So I think kind of evens out a little bit. But set goals for ourselves that are like we set goals the first day of workouts. The first day of workouts, these are our goals. So like every day, every game, we traveled with the Big East trophy with us, and then once we couldn't get that, we traveled with the NCAA trophy with us. So it was like different motivations that we had in our head, and then we went through like a little rough patch in January where we lost 6 of 8, and teams are probably like, oh, they're not that good, not that good, but we knew that once you got clicking again, how we did in the beginning, no team could beat us. So we
Sure.
were just like after we lost to Marquette, you just felt the energy shift. Like we were just super locked in. It was something crazy to see every day how locked in the guys were to like just like winning.
Yeah, I think you have a chip on your shoulder too. You see obviously what Marquette did. You see some of these other schools. I feel like with college basketball, especially last year, it's a good example too. The Final Four was all original blue bloods. And then you just kind of see the same teams every year. And I feel like just from talking to college athletes, they're so like eager to get out there, and they have a chip on their shoulder. They just want to prove people wrong and prove the doubters wrong. And I just feel like UConn this past year is such a good example of that because, like you said, I mean, nobody thought UConn at the beginning of the year, UConn would be, I don't think you guys were even ranked preseason
That
poll.
wasn't right.
Which, yeah, and that's, and UNC, for example, came in and they were ranked and they didn't even make the tournament. So it's kind
Exactly.
of just crazy to see, what college basketball, the results. I don't really like the preseason polls because I feel like, especially in college basketball, it doesn't mean anything. And I
They're
again, I
making
think
polls right now
UConn
for next year.
completely. What was
As of
that?
right now, they're making polls right now for next year. I'm just like, the season just
Yeah,
ended
I
last.
mean, like the transfer portal's going on. We're just hitting summer. Like, how do you know? So it's like I feel like you can't really, like, if you're someone who just looks at the polls and then thinks that's how the season's gonna finish, especially in college basketball. I mean, you're completely wrong. Again, even at Rhode Island, I feel like there were times where like everyone was doubting it. No one thought we would be have some of the success we had, and I mean, again, the story was different. So it's pretty remarkable to see you guys kind of change that narrative, and again, what you guys did this past March. Speaking on Rhode Island, going back to the NCAA tournament, obviously you hadn't been since you were an undergrad.
Yeah.
Did that give you flashbacks of when you were there with Coach Hurley as Rhode Island Ram? Was it, I mean, obviously it was a different situation, but did it kind of remind you of that a little bit?
It reminded me of it because it's like the same feel. Like it's
Sure.
the same transitions you do. You go the plane, the police escorts, all the media, all the open practices. It just felt like you felt that energy of like being in March again. You know what I mean? But the further you get along the road, you feel different kind of energy. So it's like we won the first game and lost second both my years, but going to second weekend and going to third weekend, then it's like, whoa, then like the energy is just like whole
Yeah.
different energy for sure. Like the whole different because like then like you sit back and you think in your head like there's only 4 teams practicing right now, you know?
Yeah.
And then you
That's
like,
crazy.
like think about all the teams you think about. Damn, there's only 4 teams right now that are actually practicing. Then the day before, like, damn, there's only 2 teams out here that still. It's just crazy to think about it when you think about it like that. But yeah, it was a great experience for sure. Different than what I've been as part of, but it was. But as I said, the guys were just super locked in and focused on the game. They really didn't care about anything else. They just wanted to just win a championship. So that was good for us because we didn't have to worry about nothing else but just playing.
Yeah, I think that's so important too, because I mean, again, you're 17, 18, 19 years old, you're standing on the biggest stage. There's going to be national media from everywhere, even international media, I'm sure. I mean, it's the Final Four, and it's so easy to kind of lose your focus and just kind of get distracted. And from what you're telling me, it seems like the guys, like you said, were just locked in and they just knew what the task was at hand, and they went out and they got it. And honestly, like those kinds of stories are just more impressive because it's so easy to get distracted.
Yeah, the guys didn't care nothing about media. They didn't care nothing about nothing else. It was just straight like, okay, win this game.
Now they care about the media. Now
Yeah,
that it's
yeah,
all
now
done.
they care. But like guys get mad, like, damn, we don't play till Thursday. Why we here on Tuesday? Now we gotta do all this
Yeah,
media stuff. They like, listen, when's the game? Like simple as that. Excited to watch film, asking about player tendencies, just like you just see
for
small
sure.
things like that. It's like, wow, these guys really then like just like the talks they're having at halftime. That plays a big thing. Like the talks at halftime are all positive. Everybody's talking in the locker room. Never a quiet locker room at halftime. Even when we was down by 2 against Iona, it was never a quiet locker room. Even when we was up by 20 against Gonzaga, we was all on the bench still locked in, saying like we more, more, more.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple more questions for you. Just to talk specifically about the championship game in Houston.
Yeah.
Just what was that feeling like, when it's all said and done, the trophy's up,
Oh,
confetti's down, Huskies, get the attention, the national attention, the world is watching, on the biggest stage. What's that moment like? I mean, every kid dreams of that moment. So I can't imagine, what it was like to be a part of that.
it was like crazy thing is it hasn't hit me until like yesterday.
Really?
Yeah, like you just sit down, like we just won a national champion. You know what I mean? It's like we just won a national. No, it hit me probably on Sunday.
Okay.
Because like
You were
after the
back. Were you back with the family for Easter? Is that what it was?
no, I wasn't with the family on Easter. I
Okay.
was no, like it was after Easter.
Okay.
I'm just sitting in bed, just thinking like, wow, we won a national championship. And then it's
Crazy.
just like, but when the last 2 minutes, you're just thinking in your head, like, cause like we're up by like 15 last 2 minutes. So we're just looking up like, yo, we're about to win. Now, cause like that's when it hits you.
Yeah.
Like we're
Hmm.
about to win a national championship. This is crazy. So then it hits zero. You just look up, confetti drops. I'm just looking up in the sky, like, don't know what to say.
Yeah.
I have my hand on my head, like, what just happened? Like what just happened?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Then it's just like confetti dropping, then people trying to find you and give you a hat and a shirt. Everything you see on TV happening, and like you're just like, damn. Like that's all you gotta say is like, damn.
Yeah.
And then you cut the net, and you're just like, wow, just crazy. Like all the media you see there, you see college legends there, Roy Williams, every coach in America is there.
Yeah.
Grant Hill doing our game, all the big names there, and all you just thinking about is all I'm thinking about is like, I was really in Spain last year, this time last year.
Yeah.
Now I'm a national champion. It was crazy, and
Crazy.
then like you see all the UConn legends there who from the past, like the
Right.
Kemba was there, Ray Allen was there, Emeka Okafor was there, Rudy Gay, Karan Butler, Jeremy Lamb. So it's like you in the front of UConn royalty winning that championship, Charlie Villanueva. You in
Yeah.
front of UConn royalty. They supported us the whole tournament. They're at every round. So it's like you just see legends in there. So like you want to be a part of that special group. And then the guys were just extra motivated. But in the locker room, you would expect it to be crazy, but we were just so in shock that it really happened. We were like, that just happened.
Sure.
It was still crazy in there, but it was just like, damn, like
I
what
was gonna
just
say
happened?
Coach Hurley didn't make you crazy. You didn't, just start going ballistic.
Not even. We was just like, yo, yeah, it was.
Because an afternoon game against Fordham, he's going ballistic, but he wins the national
It was
championship
just
and he's
like,
just relaxed.
it was like, yeah, it was just like we. It's so hard to explain what happened, but it was
Yeah.
just. It's just crazy. 'Cause, like the day before, Rip Hamilton came to us and said, like, because he was there too. Rip Hamilton, he said it's gonna feel like just another game to you guys, and like we're all thinking like, no, it's not. Like this is not a championship game, but then it happens. You're like this. Wait, this really feel like a national game. He said like it's not gonna hit you for like a few months, and then we're sitting down like we won it. 30 minutes later, I'm in the locker room because guys do media. I'm in the locker room just sitting on there. I'm just like, wow, we won that championship. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It didn't even feel like I could like jump up and do anything. It
You
was
just have the
just
goosebumps talking about it, right? Like,
yeah, yeah.
I can't
But then when you
imagine.
watch
I
the
mean,
highlights from it, then you watch the highlights, and then that's when you get excited. Like, oh, you watch the highlights because watching the highlights and hearing what they're saying rather than like watching it just there, it's a whole different vibe. I feel like.
yeah, because when you're in the moment, you got so much adrenaline, you kind of black out, right? You're not even thinking about it. And then you go back and you're like, wow. Like you said, like that
Then
just
you watch
happened.
the highlights and you're like, this, wow, the Huskies, and I'm like, wow. Then you see everybody storm the court from a different angle, you know?
Yep. I
Yeah.
think something you said that was crazy was just standing up on the ladder, cutting the net. I mean, looking out, like you're in a football stadium too. Looking out, you just won the
7,000.
national championship. Like you're on top. You see all the UConn royalty, the media, like, everything you just talked about. I'm like, I can't imagine like what that was like. Just be on top of the world pretty much at that moment.
76,000 people in there. And like
Crazy.
you just looking over like, damn, like something. Cause like I cut the nets in the Ryan Center, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It's a little
like I like
different though.
yeah, whole different. You just look over like it's crazy. It was wild, but
Crazy.
yeah.
It's cool too, because the last time I talked to you was maybe like a year and a half ago, and I think you were just preparing to go overseas. You were
Yeah.
home too. I'm from Long Island as well, but you were on Long Island. And you were just telling me a little bit about, what was next for you, and now here we are a year later, and it's a completely different story. It's crazy.
Different story, right? It's crazy because it's like I would have never expected this to happen as quickly as it did.
Sure.
Um, we all had goals to make the Final Four, of course, but then like when you really like achieve the goals you set, it's a whole different feeling, you know.
Yeah.
So all the kids have that goal, like get drafted. They make that goal at 5 years old until they're 20 years old. So when you actually get drafted, you remember writing that goal down when you 15 years ago, it like hits a little different, you know.
Yeah.
Like when we wrote those goals down in September, it was like, okay, we're gonna do that. We checked the first one off by November. So okay, we could do this. And then when you actually win it, it's just like, wow, like crazy.
Yeah. Two more questions for you. Final Four weekend, you talked a little bit about some of the people you got the chance to meet. I mean, anyone specifically cool that you were just like, wow. And do you have any stories as well from just that weekend? Just reflecting on that experience or just that week in general?
Um, it was a Final Four weekend. It was so like it was in Houston, and like you saw everybody
Yeah.
there. Um, who did I see that was like wow? Like I would say like all the UConn guys, but they're all around so much, you know. So it's like, can you really say them? But it was my first time seeing Kemba Walker,
Okay.
and like I want to say with him, it was like because I remember being in like high school seeing what he did, and
Cardiac
like
Kemba, right?
yeah, and
Cardiac
like
Kemba.
that
Yeah.
run he had was insane. So
Yep.
like just seeing him like talk about like hearing him talk about what he did that year and like how he was like so locked in, you just like got the chills because he was just talking about they had to win the Big East to go to the tournament. You know what I mean? So it was
Sure.
like they had to win those 5 games and 5 nights in New York. Then he went on a crazy tear in the tournament and then won it. It was just like just talking to him about it and just hearing everything was just like wow. And then like seeing like how all the fans embraced him and like cheered his name as soon as he walked in Kemba. Like you just hear all the energy he has, and it's just like he's super chill. And then
Yeah.
one of the best shooters ever.
Yeah.
He's so calm, nonchalant, but he's so wiry and so locked into the game. Like he could tell you everything that's happened in a game. It was just crazy talking to him. And then yeah, like we've had a lot of support all season. So the Final Four support really wasn't that much different than when the season. And our point guard, his cousin's actually Aaron Jones, so
Oh,
he's
okay.
been, he's been with us since the first round too.
That's
He's been
right. Yeah. I saw some of that on Twitter. Um, it's kind of
so
cool to just have like those fans and obviously Bill Murray as well, that is so loved
Bill
um
Murray. Yeah.
by the Connecticut, UConn, Huskies community. It's just so cool to see. I have a few friends that go there, so I've obviously been talking to them about, the last week. Last question I have for you. Were you a part of the parade a couple of days ago in stores? What was that like? Just talk to me about the celebration.
Oh yeah, we had a parade Saturday in Hartford,
Okay.
and it was probably the wildest thing I've ever seen. The wildest,
Yeah.
because we're on like the big bus, and then like you can't drive the bus down the road because all people just crossing. So it's like
So you're just standing there.
it legit felt like people were just picking up the bus. Like like it felt like they was picking up the bus. Like it was like I think they said it was like 60,000 people,
Yeah.
and
It's
it was
crazy.
just like it was packed. Because if you think about it, UConn is Connecticut,
Sure.
so like we don't have like a major sports team. So like UConn and like the like UConn men and women's, and then the Connecticut Sun, those are the major sports teams here.
Right.
So it's like they take so much pride in UConn, and then like when we won, I didn't expect that big of a turnout at all, but that was crazy. And
Yeah.
then it was just a great experience. You just look over, you just like see like every time you like see the trophy, you just think in your head like, damn, like
You probably wanted to take it home. You probably wanted to like protect it and sleep with it too. It's just like you don't want to let it go. I
it's
can
like
imagine.
yeah, because like we got the one to go to the Final Four, the region trophy. We got that one,
Right.
but then you get the national one. It's like a whole different feel. It's like a whole different feeling.
Yeah. I know Coach Hurley I watched a clip where he was saying, when we brought you in for recruiting, they had the 4 trophies lined up behind them. Now you got that fifth one, and it's a little different because they earned that one. It's
But it
not,
did,
the
yeah, it did.
previous.
Yeah.
players that are teams that work for that. This is the 2023 UConn one. So,
Yeah.
and speaking of Connecticut too, I mean, Quinnipiac just won the national championship too in hockey. So it's like
Rolling right,
Connecticut's on top of the world right now. So it's crazy.
rolling up right now. We got a lot going on for Connecticut. Yeah, it's just been it's been, as you can imagine, it's been a wild week. You know, it was just like trying to get back focused again. I mean, it's tough, but it's like just trying to get back focused again and just lock in
Yeah.
for next year. You know, we got to get ready for recruiting, as I said.
Yep.
Got a few visits coming up with transfers coming in to visit. Workouts starting on Monday. Just a week of workouts and the finals week starts. So this is very just like getting the guys' feet wet again. Right now, this week they're just coming in, getting the shots up right now, just on their own.
Yep.
Just to get their mind back into playing again after whatever they was doing last week. You know.
Yeah, I can't imagine just like winning the national championship and then back to work, on Monday. I can't imagine that, just like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's been, trying to make sure these guys go to class. Oof.
Oh yeah. Believe me, I get it.
That's the biggest task right now.
For sure.
Just make sure to go to class and go to study hall. That's it.
Have you gotten any sleep at all?
Yeah, I'm finally getting better with my sleep right now. The first few days, my sleep was horrible because the day we won that Sunday, no, that Monday, yeah, we won that Monday. We flew out Tuesday morning, but we didn't sleep that Monday. We just flew out Tuesday. Then we had a pep rally. Then ever since Tuesday, it's been
crazy. Andre, thanks so much for taking the time again. Congratulations on an incredible season with UConn, helping them bring that championship home, the fifth one, and hopefully more for them as well. Best of luck going forward. I look forward to staying in touch, seeing, where else this journey takes you, whether it's with UConn or, somewhere else, but you're off to big things. And, I'm just excited to see it. And thank you again for taking the time to join me today.
No problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate it for reaching out. I'm always here if you want to talk, if you want to talk next plans, we could talk, see if I can help you out anyway. Just let me know.
Awesome. I appreciate it again.
All right, and thank you.